You get when you mix a plane crash, the ocean, sharks, and a fight for survival. You get no way up. Today we have an interview with its producer, Annalise Davis. Check out what she has to say about making of the film and the message behind it. Hi, there you are. Hi, so tell me what it's like to be a producer. What exactly can you kind of tell us what the job is?
Yeah, of course. I love your website, by the way, and what you guys do. It's fantastic. I love the mix of everything. So a producer is really on a film from start to finish. You start off with the idea or the script or the book, either from yourself or from a writer or director, and then you work on developing the script and sometimes with the director as well, or bringing a director on board. And the development of the script can take some time. And then once you have a script that you're happy with, you have to kind of put the film together. It involves casting it and finding the money, and that can take some time. And then once you've done that, you have to also work out how you're going to make the film, where you're going to make the film, and then you have to make the film. And as the producer, you're very much the keeper of the story and keeping everything on track and working with the director, working closely with the director to fulfill their vision for the film. And so the shoot is obviously the most intense period where you have the most people working on it and you're spending the most money. But then after that, you have post-production with the edit and the sound and the music and VFX, which can take some time. So on No Way Up, that took a year, the post-production. And then through to the end, through to the marketing and distribution. So you're kind of always on the film and you see every part of it, and lots of people come and go on the film because it takes a huge amount of people, and you kind of interact with all of them, all the different types of people. So it's a very eclectic role. There's a lot of variety in it, and it's really great. I love doing it.
Right, and speaking of films, your latest, No Way Up, is a great film. It's very interesting, and I love that it combines so many aspects and layers of. It's not just like a disaster movie. It's also a shark movie and a survival movie. How did you come on board that?
So Andy Mason wrote the film and is also the other producer on it. I'd known him for years, and he sent me the script probably 3 years ago now, and I really liked it. Oh, I love your cat. I really liked it. I loved it because I loved that it was a survival thriller. So I loved the ticking clock of it. But I also loved that it was female led, that you have this main character, I'm going to spoil it slightly now, who, you start the film and you think Ava is a privileged and kind of slightly soft woman who's looking up to her bodyguard and her boyfriend, and everybody sort of knows more than she does. But actually through the film, what the film for me is really about is female empowerment, in that she realizes her inner strength, she learns to believe in herself, and she becomes a leader, and she's the one who leads them through the crisis. And so for me, I found that a really compelling part. So to be able to wrap up a genre film with the ticking clock and the excitement and the action, but put that really strong female character arc through it, I think is fantastic.
Yes, and I'm going to spoil just a little bit of one scene. That scene where she faces off head to head with that shark, that massive shark. And to me, it kind of symbolizes her moment where she faced her fear and, is now like, well, I got to do what I got to do. So
Yeah,
I love that kind of, I mean, it's a really tense scene, but it was kind of powerful at the same time.
yeah,
I love
exactly.
that. And the movie, there had to be a lot of technology elements and challenges because, I mean, a plane underwater. I mean, that's seems like it would be a handful. What were some of the challenges you faced?
Well, lots of them, obviously. That scene you're talking about, it is a fantastic scene, and Claudio is a brilliant director, and he loves Spielberg, and that scene is a sort of homage to Alien as well. When that moment in that film, and it is brilliant. You're right, because it's a lovely slow moment in an otherwise very tense environment, and it's just her kind of coming to terms with this. So in terms of the challenges, yeah, you're absolutely right. We're an independent film, and we wanted to have, lots of production value, lots of scale. So we had to crash a plane and put a plane underwater and then have them leave the plane. So where possible, we did it practically. So we did have a real plane on a set that we crashed with lots of stunts and lots of SFX of things popping out of lockers. We had a really good stunt team, really good SFX team as well. And Claudio, the director, has got a great background doing that stuff anyway, so he's full of like different ideas of how to make that work. And then with going underwater, we didn't have the luxury of the Pinewood tank, so we had a smaller tank in Essex, just outside of London. We shot the whole thing in England, and it was a small tank but deep. And yeah, obviously Claudia and I and the designer, we had a great designer, Matt Button, spent quite a lot of time in pre-production thinking, how are we actually going to do this? But, you know, we got a real plane and put it on a very complicated rig that had to be signed off by a really good master rigger. And we literally put the plane on this rig, which was kind of like a flat bed of mesh. And we had to be able to lower it at different angles and different depths. So it wasn't even just at one thing, because the plane goes down the whole time and changes its angle. So it was really complicated, and the actors had to be in the plane. So that was what all films are, really, is a set of challenges. And if you have the right people around you, which we did, who all love the film and want to make the best film possible, then you can achieve really amazing things in terms of make it all work.
Well, it looked really great, and you know those scenes where I'm real big on Fish Aquarium.
Ah.
So those scenes where you're looking through the window of the plane and you're seeing the fish swim by, the sharks, was a great touch. I really enjoyed that, and hey, the sharks look great.
Yeah, so obviously some things weren't done for real, and some people do think the sharks were done for real, but they weren't. They're all fake. We didn't put the actors next to sharks. We had a really great VFX team who work out of Germany, and Claudia had worked with them before, and they did amazing things with the VFX budget we had. We worked with Stage 23 in Australia and Cyclo in Vietnam, who really pulled out the stops. Stage 23 did the sharks, and essentially Vietnam did the rest. And so, yeah, obviously there's lots of stunts that are real, and when the actors are swimming through the water, that's real. But when you see them taken out of the plane or anything with a shark, that does become VFX. And then at the end of the film, we used virtual production, which is like a gigantic LED screen, to do as soon as, another spoiler, Ava leaves the plane, to have that scale of that sequence where you have the plane and she's this small body next to the plane and the ocean. That's obviously not in the tank, and we use virtual production to achieve that kind of scale. And the difference between the claustrophobia of the plane and then coming out to the ocean where she's lost and has to swim up without any help and without any goggles. So we had Sophie on a wire in a studio, pretend swimming, for that sequence. But the rest of the swimming, where she's swimming down the plane, that is Sophie on a wire. She's amazing, swimming down a plane while we're pulling her on a wire to show that the plane is going down, and she had to still carry on swimming. So she did an amazing job.
Well, it looked great, and I was very impressed by the sharks, because a lot of time, they just look kind of campy, kind of terrible. But these, I mean, they look really good actually, and I was impressed. And the cast. The cast is fantastic, and I'm sure there were a lot of challenges having a child so involved in the film. What kind of challenge did that face?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were fortunate. It's interesting you talk about being campy versus real. Although it's a very high concept film, we always wanted to make it feel as realistic as possible. So the characters, they should feel like real characters, and the emotions they're going through are never too sort of campy, or it is grounded in real emotion. How would you really feel if you were in that environment? And the characters all have their own journeys to go on, which are all wrapped up in the theme of self-belief, which is what the film is about. So yeah, we had a brilliant cast. We loved our cast. And obviously, 6 of them are stuck in that galley for most of the film, and they spent a lot of time together, those 6, and they were just a wonderful, brilliant actors, but also wonderful people to be with, and they had such a camaraderie between them. And so Phyllis Logan is the Mrs. Hughes from Downton Abbey, so she plays the aunt, Nana, not the aunt, she's Nana. And she kind of, you know, with the most experience, she kind of led them. And obviously her character is also a great character because you have this older woman, and often older women in these films are relegated to being sort of saved or pathetic, where she's just awesome, this awesome nurse, army nurse, who kind of breaks arms into position and makes this really touching sacrifice at the end. So to have Phyllis kind of anchoring the team, and she's the most generous woman, the most generous actor, and just the sweetest woman in the world. And then, yeah, we had this brilliant team of young actors, many in their 20s. And of course, Grace was, I think she was 11 when we shot the film. And she's just she's a child, but she's just so brilliant. And she gave us so much in terms of not being too cutesy and being sort of grounded with her emotions and believing her. And also she comes up with her own ideas about sharks not liking bubbles. And you kind of believe that this kid, yeah, she's got enough about her that she can do that. And you believe that she can make the swim at the end. So yeah, and your heart is with her and her grandmother. And and then when Ava sort of essentially takes over, you're really invested with essentially the three women, because that's what it's about at its heart, is those three women and how they interact and how they kind of support each other and what the sacrifices they make for each other.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's thrilling, and the cast was fantastic. And to have a child that young, she did really, really well.
Yeah.
So I think we can expect great things from her in the future.
Definitely. We had a preview screening in London a few weeks ago. She wasn't there because she's off somewhere doing a stage show somewhere outside of England. So yeah, she's amazing. She's a brilliant actor.
So what do you hope the message the audience takes away when the movie is released?
So I think I mean, audience can expect, you know, I think the most important thing with the film is you want to be entertained and you want to be moved in some way. And the film is thrilling and it's funny in places, but, you know, it's got a ticking clock and you should be on the edge of your seat. And the other thing I love about the film is it plays into, well, Andy Mason wrote the film about his three greatest fears, which taps into a lot of the audience's greatest fears, which is planes crashing, drowning and being underwater, and sharks. So it should make people feel quite scared, but also, you know, engage with the characters and really move. There are some incredibly moving sequences, and kind of hopeful and triumphant at the end, because there is a happy ending. Obviously it's sad because people have to die in these films. So yeah, they should feel all of those films, I would hope, and hopefully women and maybe some men feel the female empowerment story, and seeing kind of different people on screen that you wouldn't expect in this kind of actiony, thrillery film. You maybe expect a certain kind of hero, and to have somebody like the three women, as we said, who are kind of leading the show, and the people who survive at the end and are really not the people you would expect to survive in that kind of film. And so for me, that's really important, especially as a female producer, that, you know, it's important for me that we show diversity and that kind of complexity and representation on screen, so that, well, everybody, including women, but everybody can look and go, oh, okay, I could be like that. I could not necessarily swing with sharks, but it's like, yeah, she's really empowered and she's leading the way. And I think it's so important with stories that you show that kind of representation.
Well, now, you know, that you've made the film, has it had an effect on your feeling towards flying?
Do you know what? After we wrapped, because we actually shot the film about 2 years ago, because it takes a year to do the post-production, and then it was held off from being released till now. But as soon as we wrapped the film, I went to Cannes Film Festival, which is about an hour-and-a-half flight in a plane that looks exactly like the plane that we had, one of the EasyJet planes. And I actually sat in the seat that they were in. I was at the back and I was like, oh my God. And I was texting Andy and Claudia going, I can't believe that I'm here. I took a photo of it because I was like, and it was kind of terrifying. But since then, I prefer the bigger planes because they don't remind me of the plane so much. You do get over it. I'm not a nervous flyer, so I'm fine with it. But I do know that nervous flyers either can't watch the film or watch the film, and that's that for them. So I have had people who say the trailer looks amazing, but I can't go there. Fortunately, I'm not a nervous flyer, so I'm still fine.
I refuse to fly. That's like, it's one of my biggest things. It's like, no, never. And now it's like, no, never. So
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's great, and I love that it's so intense, and that you can take these, few actors and stick them in a little bitty space, but still have this, huge story come out of it. And that's,
Yeah.
that's really nice.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because it's so important that we wanted it to feel cinematic and big. And yeah, they're in a claustrophobic space, but actually what they're dealing with is quite universal and quite it's big. It's big emotions. It's like, how are we going to get out of here? All these fears. And also you've got their relationships kind of breaking down and bonding and all that. So it's actually, it could have happened if anyone was stuck in a lift. It's the same thing, and it should feel yeah, we can all relate to these characters, and they are normal people. They're not like adventurers doing something crazy. They just got on a flight to Cabo to go on holiday, and this thing happened. And yeah, it should feel like big emotions. And actually the way we shot it in terms of how Claudio was inspired, and his DP Andy Roger, they're very inspired by classic 70s and 80s films, and the way we shot it with the lenses we used was, wanting to make it feel very cinematic and almost like we'd shot it on film to give it the kind of bigger feel, so it didn't feel kind of too small. So even though they're claustrophobic, it should feel big and cinematic and universal.
It did. And, I love the way, I know that most of the water was probably practical, but I know a ton of it was, done CGI. But it looks so good. It's like every time I go into a movie, watching a movie like this, my biggest worries are the sharks going to look fake? Is the water going to be terrible? But it really, No Way Up has got a great look to it. Y'all did a fantastic job with the cinematography, and with the casting as well. I mean, they all were great fits for their roles. So, I expect people to really enjoy it.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. I think every decision we made, we wanted to kind of get the best people for the film, and I think we did that. And everybody really, if you, as I said, if you get the right people, filmmaking is so many decisions to be made, but if you're all working on the same thing and you kind of all believe in the project, and Claudia is such a fantastic director for collaborating and exciting people about what he wants to do, but also being very open to other people's ideas. And yeah, we always wanted to make it feel kind of big and cinematic and real. So most of the water is real. But yes, there is the use of VFX and virtual production to help us. And again, it's totally seamless. We had a very great virtual production team and a great VFX team who did a brilliant job of sort of matching the fakeness with the realness, so that you can't tell. It is seamless.
Okay, so if you had to pick 5 words to describe the film, what would they be?
Oh, that's a good question. Gosh. Entertaining, thrilling, mm, moving, um, scary, and empowering. What 5 words would you use?
Well, I would say thrilling. I would say, claustrophobic because so much of the movie is.
Yeah.
And of course, intense. And then I would say sharks because, well, I'm a big shark fan. That's like one of my biggest goals is to swim with sharks.
Ah, okay.
So I'm a shark lover. But it's it's a great film. That's all there
Oh,
is to it.
thank you. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. I think your 5 words are better than mine.
No, they're great. So what's next for you?
So I always want to tell entertaining stories for audiences, and I like doing films within genres, but definitely with a female skew, with female leads. So, and it's filmmaking is always about working with great teams and great partners. So at the moment, I've got a few films. I've got 2040, which is a climate change thriller, which is about 2 young women who have 24 hours to find a fake passport, and it's kind of funny and thrilling. And again, 2 young women who, you know take on this world, and that's set in 2040, so it's in the near future. It's a world just like ours, but it's a world where climate change has meant that water is rationed and meat is rationed, but it's still powered by these 2 young women who are kind of smart and sassy and fun. So again, entertaining and relevant. And then I've also got a female-led conspiracy thriller about some people who are trapped on a roof and they have 12 hours to get off. And that's again using a lot of virtual production. So working with the partners that from No Way Up on virtual production to again bring that scale to that kind of film. And then I've also got a lovely rom-com set in Italy about a woman who goes there to actually bury her brother, but she ends up kind of falling in love with his pet rabbit and also learning to love herself as well. So there is that theme of female-led films throughout, but always entertaining for an audience.
Right, and we need those types of stories. We need, not the fall down and get killed or I don't know what to do type of characters. We need somebody that can take the reins and kick butt.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't really like making miserable films because I just think, I think films should be about, well, as I said, entertainment first, but also, being inspiring and showing, representing a way of living that should inspire people and make them feel better and give them more agency, hopefully.
Right. And that's always awesome. And, we look forward to definitely checking out those when they come out.
Thank you.
And definitely talking to people about when No Way Up comes out, because I really do think people are gonna like it. And it's, especially for like people who love sharks. Shark movies are a bit of my weakness. So, it got brownie points for that just by itself.
What's your favorite shark film?
Jaws, of course.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I think it's it's certainly Claudio's favorite shark film. He's a massive Spielberg fan, but yeah, no, it's a great film.
But yeah, and anything female led like my cat that briefly made an appearance moments ago. All of my cats and dogs are named after powerful women.
Oh, really? What's your cat called?
But that one was Ripley.
Oh, cool.
So I have four cats and two dogs. So I'm big on the female empowerment too. So
What are the other cats called?
well, we've got Ripley and her two daughters, Buffy and Sabrina.
Oh, cool.
Star, and then I've got Rosie and Freya.
Oh, fantastic.
So
Love it.
those are my crew. So yeah, I'm big on strong females.
Yeah, love it. Love it.
You and they frequently make an appearance on these things.
Actually, your cat looks just like mine. Her name's Tallulah, but that's not a female
Oh,
equivalent name. It's just a cool name. I guess Jodie Foster in Bugsy Malone. That's a cool character. That's Tallulah.
there you go.